Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Moving Sales Professionals for yet another episode. And with me today, I have Kody and Melanie Townsend, owners of JJ Van Lines, nationwide brokers who are trying to change the moving broker industry and give it a good name and deal away with the bad stigma that goes along with the words moving broker. How you doing today, guys?
I'm doing well.
Good. How
How
are
are you,
you?
Yuri?
Good, good, good. Yet another day in paradise, working hard. So let's get this started. So how did you guys get into the industry?
So I started in the industry back in high school. Been in moving pretty much since about 15. So I did it in high school while I was in high school, then graduated and kept doing it. Started on the truck, worked my way up, basically into the office doing high-end stuff. And then me and her decided that we wanted to basically live in Florida, and we tried to look at opportunities that was in my background since I was so heavily in it. And we found a company that we wanted to buy. And I mean, it was on the sales side of it, not really what I was used to. So it was definitely an exciting kind of experience, trying to learn something new with the industry that I've been in for so long, because I've been doing it for 18 years now. And she brings, a lot of office experience, and I brought the other aspect to it, like the knowledge. And so since September last year, we've been doing the moving brokering thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with his industry experience and my talent acquisition and HR background, felt like we would be able to complement each other pretty well through the industry, to be able to grow the business, build out our team, and grow. So
Hey, awesome, awesome. And of course, everybody wants to know whether they're movers or there are other brokers out there and what have you. So what makes you different? Why should a moving company use and get these book jobs from you? Besides, of course, the fact that we book some of them. But
Yeah,
why?
right, right. So yeah, I mean, there's good and bad to brokerages out there. Like, I mean, it's just like if you go and you buy a ticket from Travelocity, they're just a travel agency. Like they, provide the information for you. It's like a wholesale. Like we get the jobs, and we wholesale it. I mean, we can find different carriers, different areas, different days. Basically that's what we do, basically like a travel agency. And what makes the difference is the customer service that we provide amongst everybody else. Like, you know, as far as the customer aspect, it's the customer service. It's, us being there alongside the customer. And on the carrier side, it's us being there fighting for the carrier as well. So we can see both sides, a non-biased situation if something happens. If not, you know,
So what you're saying, unlike other people or brokers out there, you're actually still involved on the day of the move. And now for a quick message from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com to learn more.
yeah, still involved till the end. Still involved until the delivery. It's
you
not
know,
just work the job and get out, move on to the next one. It's still our client until the delivery.
yeah, and to piggyback off that too, one of the biggest needs that we realized whenever we got into the industry was the need for education up front with the clients. If they don't know, they don't know. So we were given a unique opportunity to be able to learn the industry and be able to set the stage for the entire move for the client. So we educate them about the process. We educate them about, do they have realistic expectations of what this is going to look like? And that was really important. And that's something that we've implemented throughout our team to be able to make sure that they understand, they have all of their answers, or excuse me, all of their questions answered from the beginning. And then, like Kody said, really being a neutral party between the carrier and the client. A lot of things that we were finding was, if there were issues at pickup or issues at delivery, the client was calling us. we were calling the carrier, and we were really advocating for both parties. So if there was an increase in inventory, we were getting the documents, we were making sense of the numbers for the client and making sure that they understood, because they trusted us from the beginning. And if the client was being unreasonable, then we were going to advocate for the carrier. So it really wasn't, one party against the other at all. But yeah, we continue to see that job all the way throughout the end.
Great. And what are your, what are you implementing in your business that will set the stage to change the industry?
I think a lot of it starts with the amount of training that we give our team. So instead of, throwing them in and saying, hey, here's the rules and regulations, this is what it sounds like when you should talk to a client, we continue to build on their education, and we really work hand in hand with everybody that we have on our team. And we're constantly looking for ways to stay up to date on any kind of information that we have going on with the industry. We pass that along to our team. They can pass that along to our clients. And then also just having those hard conversations up front with the network that we have of moving companies. We let them know, listen, we want to be involved. We want to partner with the carriers to make sure that this is as smooth for us and the client as it is for them. I know that with my experience with a lot of other moving brokerages, they kind of wash their hands. They book the job gets accepted by a carrier, and then that's the last they're heard of it. And that's just not how we're going to run this business.
And also though, sorry, Yuri, for cutting you off. Also,
okay.
at the end of the day, though, it's not just a sell. I mean, these people, they trust us with their belongings, and I mean, people have antiques passed down through generations. They trust us with that, and they trust us with the carrier we pick to show up for them. And at the end of the day, again, it's not just a sell. It's people's lives. It's everything in their home that is close to them, and we're sending people in to move this. So that's what we try to stress to our guys. Again, if you want to make sales, but it's not just sell. It's people's things.
And now for a quick message from our sponsors. For a limited time only, we have partnered with an SEO and marketing company with discounted rates for their services. Schedule an appointment via Calendly link below to learn more. Thank you. And now getting back to the podcast. Well, let me ask you this then. So obviously this is something that happens a lot in the moving industry. And in the broker industry specifically. So, if you had to put a number on it, just a guess maybe, how often are your carriers in a situation where they get to the move and the customer has 3 times the amount of stuff? And how do you handle that?
I would say probably about a quarter of the time we have somebody that forgot items or has more items than what we have on the inventory list. But we have procedures that we go through with all of our salespeople, especially when we do follow-ups. We have Q&A calls, and we do 3 different follow-ups after the initial inventory to make sure we have everything correct and make sure it's all there. Obviously, when you're moving and you start moving things around, there's always something it seems like there's missing. And so, we do everything we can to make sure that there is no surprises at move day at the pickup. There's no extra inventory. We do everything.
And in the event that does happen, when that happens, again, going back to educating them up front, we explain to them, if you do find a closet that you forgot to add to this inventory, we can add it on site. That's no problem, but you will be charged for that. It'll be accounted for, they'll just have to make an amendment. So number one, they know that going up front. We have that conversation several times with every call, every time that we touch base with that client, we give them the heads up that could happen. So when it does, they're usually not surprised. But what we do is we take the initiative ourselves. We get the bill of lading or the handwritten inventory list. And what we do is we do a side-by-side comparison between the estimate that we provided with the inventory list that we built out with the client. We do a side-by-side comparison with the handwritten inventory list that carrier has done on site. And what we do, the reason we do that is because if we can make sense of the numbers for the client, and we can say, well, you added 15 different items that we didn't have here. Had I added it onto my software, it would total up to the same amount. And when you can really put those numbers in front of them, 99% of the time, that's all they need. They just need concrete numbers that make sense.
Justification.
Absolutely. And in the event that, we can't make sense of it, then that's when we speak directly to the carrier, and have a private conversation, not in front of the client, to say, hey, look, we can't make sense of this, make sense for us so that we can do our job and make sense of it to the client. So it's as smooth for everybody as it needs to be.
Okay, so what if things go the other way? So you explained to me the customer service side in terms of you working specifically with the person that's looking to move. What about the other side? Let's say a carrier gets there. Let's say it's the same amount of inventory, for example, and suddenly cubic footage goes from, I don't know, 600 cubic feet to 1,200 cubic feet, for example.
Mm-hmm. Well, at that time, we contact the carrier and say, I need to see the handwritten bill of lading, and we need to compare our estimate against yours. And if it makes sense, then it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then show me where these numbers match. That's where we're here to advocate for the client. If the carrier's there and there's extra cubic footage, then we need to see proof of where that's at.
Okay, so what if the numbers don't match? What do you do?
Then they don't get charged the extra.
Okay.
If they don't
How do
match,
you-
they don't match.
And how do you deal with the carrier in that case? So I understand how you deal with the customer. Customer just pays what the estimate was or whatever it came up to there that you feel that's adequate. But what happens with the carrier in that case?
So we call our dispatch, and dispatch calls the carrier and talks to them and tells them, say, this doesn't make sense. And 9 times out of 10, the carrier backs down and says, okay, this, they see there's an issue there, or they did their numbers wrong. Because again, 9 times out of 10, the carrier on site doesn't really do math very well. Just sitting there trying to do it right there on the spot. So 9 times out of 10, we find the holes in the estimates and the difference.
We've only run into it one time where we had a situation like that. The carrier just really was not being very honest on site, and the client ended up just canceling everything altogether. We found him a different carrier. That's one of the things that we explain to the client whenever we tell them why they should go with us. What's the benefit of going with us? So we have a network of different companies that we vet that meet our standards of excellence, that, communicate well with us. And in the event that we have someone that's really just not meeting those standards of excellence, we try to keep it as civil as possible, because the last thing that you want is for it to blow up. You don't want the client irate. You don't want the carrier irate. You especially don't want that if the stuff is on the truck. So, we really just do everything that we can to try to be as neutral as possible and come to the best solution. If the carrier does not want to move that stuff because he wants $5,000 more and we can't make sense of it, then the client can cancel that move.
Okay. So what you mentioned basically looking for excellence and that type of thing. So what criteria would you want the carriers that you work with to meet? What are you looking for?
So what we typically look at, we obviously go on the DA complaints and claims. We get a copy of their, certificate of insurance. We obviously want to make sure they're insured. But ultimately we want, if it's a company that does a lot of volume, if they have complaints and claims on the DOT, that we look at the reviews, we want to make sure that it's a very small percentage, because we all understand that we're all going to get those customers that are going to have something negative to say because one thing goes wrong. We understand that. But we also ask, we dig into how do they rectify those situations. If you have, same thing with what you're doing with us, if you guys have a situation, how are you going to work with us? We make sure that, their communication, we make sure we have multiple points of contact. We definitely don't want to have a situation where we have one carrier and we have one person that's going to answer the phone, and that's the only person that we can get in touch with. We do look at the BBB. We want companies that are going to be, A-rated, accredited, really take the time to have a good social media presence. We want companies that are out there, not companies that kind of fly under the radar. So.
Companies that are looking to build a brand and not to put their face on it. Absolutely, because that's what we're doing. So we want to partner with companies that are building their businesses the way that we're building our business. Yeah. So there you have it, J&J Van Lines, the brokers that care. So we have an opportunity to really build something. So guys, once again, thank you very much for joining us for this podcast. Really appreciate it. And obviously, for those of you that are moving companies out there that are looking for an honest broker that you can work with, that's really going to work with you, that's going to allow you to continue building your brand, help you fill your calendar and do things like that. So you got two things here going for you. You got J&J Event Lines that's doing the brokering stuff, and you got moving sales professionals booking the jobs for you on more of an in-house approach, so to speak. So you got two different areas, two different companies that are working together at this point, because we are doing some of the bookings for J&J. I hope you guys are happy with us.
Yeah,
Very much.
yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So we appreciate that. We appreciate that. And of course, I think we're going to keep this relationship going for a long time. We're excited about that, certainly. And we're going to make sure we have some links at the bottom here for you guys to click on if you want to connect with J&J and reach out to them if you want to see if they can do some work for you. Of course, you can contact us if you need any of the work as well. And once again, guys, Kody, Melanie, thank you very much for joining us. And as I always say, the world moves on its own, so why not let the professionals move yours for you? Thank you very much for joining our podcast. Let's Talk Moving, and have a wonderful day. We will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.